What's up, Charles?
I'm good, my brother. How you doing?
I'm good. I saw where you stirred it up a little bit last night, where you talked about Golden State and Durant, and they wouldn't be a dynasty without him, and Shaq chimed in a little bit here. So you've had some time to think about it. Do you really believe that they wouldn't be a dynasty in Golden State if they didn't have Kevin Durant?
Dan, anybody knows anything about basketball know that. if Durant leaves, they'll be a good little team, but they won't be he made them a dynasty. And they're under a lot of pressure. You know, they're moving to that brand new building next year, and they need Kevin Durant. You know, everybody's like, why are they deciding with Kevin Durant? Because they need Kevin Durant. He's the one who made them a dynasty. And so it's a lot of pressure on that whole organization.
But why is Draymond Green reportedly saying to Kevin Durant, we don't need you, we won without you, leave? Like, what gets him to that point of a guy that you know you need if you're going to win championships, that Draymond Green is saying that to Kevin Durant?
Well, first of all, I don't really believe that, number one. Number one, if he said it, I think he just said it in the moment. But listen, you hear all these guys who be making up these stories. They want us to believe that going into overtime, that Draymond says, you need to make up your mind on free agency. I don't believe that at all. I mean, Dan, think about that. They want us to think that in the middle of a basketball game, at the end of a game that's getting ready to go to overtime, Draymond says, hey, you need to make up your mind on free agency. I don't believe that at all.
Okay, but he got suspended, mad, Charles. What did he get suspended for?
Because they know that they got to appease Kevin Durant. That's what makes sense. Dan, nobody gets suspended when teammates get to fighting. Because that happens at least once a week when teammates get into or a coach, somebody yells at a coach and you say things you regret. The reason they suspended Draymond is because they know that dynasty, if Kevin Durant leaves, is going to come to an end. And people got to realize they're going to that brand new big old building next year. Mm-hmm. They're charging $20,000 a seat on the front row. People don't want to see. They want to see a team that's a juggernaut. They don't want to see a team that's pretty good. That's why they suspended Draymond.
Did the Warriors make it worse by suspending Draymond Green?
Well, I think that's a great question, Dan. I think they're caught between a rock and a hard place. They've got to look at their team this year, and they've got to look at the future. So that's a great question. I don't know the exact answer, but I think what they did was they're like, yo, man, you can't make this dude mad. He's the reason we're a dynasty, and if we lose him, we'll just have a good team. We won't be favorites to win the championship every year.
And I don't think Durant stays at Golden State, but I've thought that for quite some time now. I'm just curious where he would end up. And I know Stephen A. Smith said the Lakers or the Knicks. I don't know if Durant would help LeBron achieve even greater success by going to the Lakers to help him, maybe win a couple of titles instead of maybe doing something unique like going to the New York Knicks. What is the best destination, do you think, if he doesn't stay in Golden State?
Well, Dan, I don't know the answer to that. I mean, these guys, it's totally changed now. It started with LeBron going to Miami, so everybody's just looking to stack their teams now and dominate. So I don't know the answer to that question. We all hated when Kevin went to the Warriors because the exact same thing we're going to say happened. It's really funny. Everybody don't want to go back and look at the papers like, man, why is he going to the Warriors? That's going to make them unbeatable. And they've been unbeatable. So, but these guys now,
what would you do?
They want to play together.
What would you do?
I want to stay in Oklahoma City. That's my team.
Okay, but now, what would you do if you're Durant?
That's a great question. I think he knows that the Warriors because at some point money matters. At some point money matters. Even to the Warriors, they're like, well, we got to give Clay the max probably this summer. Mm-hmm. Then we got to give Kevin the max. Then next year we got to pay Draymond. Like, at some point you can't pay everybody. I mean, I know they're in the luxury threshold, but can you imagine putting another $300 to $400 million in a luxury tax. I mean, at some point, you do have to have some financial common sense.
Where do you think Carmelo ends up?
I don't even know what's a great place for him, Dan. To be honest with you, the way he wants to play the way he played 5-7 years ago, where he isolation gave him the ball, and he doesn't have those skills anymore. So I'm not sure what's a perfect place for him right now. Because like I say, he complained he started laughing last year when we want you to come off the bench. Dan, when you get older as a player, you have to make concessions, plain and simple. You're not the same player. It ain't like it was 10 years ago in New York where we just give you the ball and let you go one-on-one when you were and he was a great offensive player.
Mm-hmm.
Teams aren't going to play like that anymore. So it's going to be interesting where he decides to go.
I also wanted to ask you about the Duke freshmen that, we see these kids, and I mean, they're men, certainly with Zion Williamson, but you see how he plays now. What translates to the NBA, do you think, with Zion Williamson? Can he be that kind of player in the NBA?
I don't know, Dan, because I don't know what position he plays. That's going to be the key. And you hear these guys talking about, the NBA is positionless. Yeah, it's somewhat positionless, but some of these guys are still 6'10", 6'11". So at one point, he's going to play those other guys on the other end of the court. Number one, he is way more explosive than I was. I wonder what his real height is. Because all these college players lie about their height. So I wonder how tall he really is. But I think the biggest thing going to be what position he's going to play in the pros. He's a terrific talent. But he has to guard people on the other end. Can he guard threes out on the floor? Can he guard a 6'10" guy in the post? I mean, there's two. People always talk about one end of the court, but there's two ends of the court. How's he going to play against some of these big old guys he's going to have to play against? It's easy to play against some of these college players, but in NBA, we got some players.
I'm just curious about his weight. If he weighs this as a freshman, right? I mean, you dealt with this. Is he going to be able to be this kind of player at 300 pounds? I mean, he's 285 right now.
Well, I think the difference, when people talk about me and him, my weight was fat, though. When I went from 300 to 250, my weight was fat weight. I don't think he's got fat weight on him. I think he is physically amazing and gifted. I don't know if it's possible for him to lose 25 pounds. It was easy for me to lose 50 pounds because I was fat. But him, I'd have to look at his body up close. But he doesn't look, he looks amazing. But like I say, I don't think he's a guy who's going to lose 20, 30 pounds. I don't think it's there.
I also saw that you and Ernie are going to be working the match with Tiger and Phil. What role will you play?
That's a good question. I don't know what we're doing.
What do you know about golf?
Well, I know everything about golf. I mean, that's easy. I mean, golf is, I watch more golf than probably anybody in the world. I'm addicted to the Golf Channel. I mean, I'm not good at golf, but as far as just the terminology and hidden cuts and fades and hooks and draws and things like that, that's very easy. But they asked me and Ernie to do something, and listen, I'm going to be a good team player and do something in Vegas.
All right. Who wants to win more, do you think, between Tiger and Phil?
Great question. From an ego standpoint, I don't think you can decipher that. I think they both want to win, just from an ego standpoint, because they had this rivalry. And, Tiger, first of all, I've already said, I think Tiger's the greatest golfer who ever lived. He's the GOAT. And it's just been exciting watching him play this year because he brought excitement back to golf. I mean, he brought a ton of excitement back to golf. It was awesome to watch. And I think that he wants to win just to keep his domination going, his confidence. But also, I think Phil wants to beat him. So I don't really know the answer to that question. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. I mean, you get two of the greatest who ever did their thing. You got the greatest who ever did in Tiger. I think it's going to be awesome to watch. Just mano a mano.
Who's going to talk more trash between those two?
Phil is more natural at trash talking. I think that's what he probably has. I think he has the advantage as far as he's a lot more social. You know, the one advantage the Tiger has, there's not going to be a crowd on the golf course. There's no fans invited to the golf course. So he can't interact with fans, and Phil can't interact with fans and talk trash and have fun like that. So that's a disadvantage for him. But like I say, because when I played that golf course, like actually a couple of weeks ago, there's no room for fans out there. So Phil can't just joke around with fans. And Tiger's personality, he's a lot more laid back and low key. So I think Phil has advantages for his talking trash because it's more natural to him. He's a more fun guy to joke with.
Wouldn't it be great if they started wrestling like in the ninth fairway, like they started going at each other? And who would you have if it's Phil versus Tiger?
Listen, you got two guys who can't fight, so it would be a boring little slap fest. Because first of all, I don't think neither one of them, either or neither, I'm not sure what word I would use. I don't think either or neither has ever been in a fight in their life, ever. Either one of them.
I think you're right.
Listen, I wouldn't go out on a limb. Neither one of those guys have ever been in a real fight in their life.
I would back that too. I think. I'd be curious.
Neither one of them ever been in a fight in their life.
Maybe you could ask that to them when you and Ernie are there, part of this winner take all Friday after Thanksgiving. Maybe that's a question.
Well,
we got
Sam Jackson and Pat Perez going to be there also.
Samuel L.
So. Samuel L. Jackson and Pat Perez, I think, is going to be doing. I mean, obviously, we're not going to be serious golf announcers. I don't know the exact extent of my role, but listen, I'm just going there to have fun. That's all it could be.
If I said you got to put a week's pay on who will win.
Well, I would bet on Phil because last time I saw the odds, it was like 150.
Yeah.
So you got to. I'm not going to bet 50. I'm not. I want to bet. I'm going with the odds. So Tiger is pretty heavily favored. So from a common sense standpoint, I would take Phil just because of the odds.
Well, thanks for joining us as always, and have fun out there in Las Vegas, and stay away from the crap table and all that stuff. All right.
That sounds like an oxymoron. Have fun in Las Vegas.
And don't go gamble.
Yeah. No, Dan, there's a 100% chance I'm going to gamble when I'm in Vegas. 100%.
All right. Well, say hello and goodbye to your money from me, okay?
Hey, brother. I always tell people gambling's a 50-50 proposition. You're either going to win or you're going to lose. That's 50-50. I'll take those odds.
Thank you, Charles.
Hey, man, thanks for having me.
Hi, buddy.
You guys have a great Thanksgiving here.
You too. That's Charles Barkley.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.